The Starfield showcase just happened a couple hours ago, and I gotta say, it was absolutely fantastic. It was 45 minutes long, which is 3 times as long as the one from last year, and it covered so many subjects. And I gotta say, the more we know about Starfield, the more impressed I get about the scope of the game. Now let's quickly dive into the Starfield Direct. It starts off with a couple beautiful cinematic shots, and we can really see the engine upgrade at work here. It really feels like with Creation Engine 2, Bethesda has finally caught up with other industry giants in terms of graphics and animation. After the cinematics, we also get a little bit of gameplay, where we see some more of the exploration and the combat. And I think the combat looks a little bit better than last year, and we can also see the use of the boost pack a lot, which is the jetpack in Starfield. And it really seems like an essential tool to use in combat, and it's probably gonna be useful for almost every build. After that, we get our first look at the data menu, which looks really clean in my opinion. I think the HUD overall in Starfield looks really nice. Then we go into the inventory and we can see all the different categories, which are weapons, spacesuits, boost packs, helmets, apparel, throwables, ammo and aid. Then they get into the travel system. Because Starfield is so huge with the 1000 planets, you can't just walk to the next point of interest. So you gotta travel the distance by spaceship. As you can see here, after you scan a planet, you can find all the useful information, like the different resources you can find and the traits. I assume the traits of a planet will be the handcrafted locations, like we can see here. This planet has two, a civilian outpost and a industrial outpost. And if we look at the star map, we can see that every star system has a recommended level. This isn't a level cap that you need to reach before you can actually enter the system, because the thing that determines if you can actually get to a system is the power of your grav drive. So you need to upgrade your ship to be able to travel further through the galaxy and get to these farther away systems. After that, we get to New Atlantis. We get a couple more shots that show us how big this city is, and we get introduced to all the Constellation members. And one of them mentions that these artifacts you're looking for need to have been built by an intelligence outside of the settled systems, which is really exciting. And we also get another introduction to the different factions and cities. We now get to know that Cydonia, the mining city on Mars, is affiliated with the United Colonies. And with Aquila City, they seem to be going for a heavy Western theme. And then we get to Neon. Well, it is so much crazier than I expected. It seems to be littered with crime and just weird stuff, to be honest. Like, people are getting murdered, there are these weird dance clubs, and you're literally making drugs. But then there's also revealed that there are some star systems that are still unclaimed, and they are home to the most dangerous factions. Here we get introduced to a new faction, the Red Maul, which seem like a highly organized crime faction, and make the Crimson Fleet look like a bunch of goons. The next part is about character creation. And even seeing these presets close up, I think they look incredible. Except the facial hair. I don't know why, but the facial hair just seems mediocre compared to the rest. But other than that, there's so much customization here. In body, walk styles, face, you can literally sculpt your face however you want. Then we get to the actual roleplay aspects of character creation, which I'm really excited for because they weren't in the last Bethesda RPGs that I played. First we have the background. You can only choose one background, and your background gives you your 3 starting skills. But that's not all the background does. It also gives you unique dialogue options and opportunities at random parts in the game. So these could definitely give you a lot of replayability. Next are traits. Traits are completely optional and you can choose up to 3. But the thing with traits is they have a upside, but also a downside. Take Hero Worshipped for example. You've earned the attention of an annoying adoring fan who will show up randomly and jabber at you incessantly. On the plus side, he'll join your ship's crew and give you gifts. So it's definitely nice to have an extra companion and crew member at the beginning of the game, and who knows what kind of gifts you will get. But later in the game, if you have decided he has become too annoying, you can always get rid of them. And this is the case for all traits. If halfway through your playthrough you don't want it anymore, there is always like an activity, quest or thing you can do to just get rid of it. Next are the skills, which are also a vital part of forming your character. They consist of 5 different categories. physical, social, combat, science and tech. And we have seen these before, but in the Starfield Direct we do get to see some new ones. The physical category is about your general health, resistances, stealth, unarmed combat and much more. Then social is about everything to do with talking, like bartering, persuasion, intimidation, but also companions. Then there is combat. Most perks here will increase your damage from different sources. Then science will have everything to do with exploration, outpost building, research and chems. And lastly is tech. The majority of the skills here will have to do with your ship, shipbuilding, and there are also a couple other ones like hacking and your jetpack efficiency. Next, they talked about ships, and they confirmed a very big thing. You can have multiple ships in Starfield. You can just buy new ships almost everywhere, and also steal ships and take the ships from your fallen enemies. With these ships you can just store them at a spaceport, and there are a bunch of spaceports all over the galaxy, and if you go to one there you can just take out another ship from your collection. At these spaceports you can also customize them. You can customize them with different colors and such, but also the complete layout and the efficiency of your ships. The actual layout will also reflect in the inside of your ship. So if you make a larger ship, of course the inside will be bigger and there's more place for different workstations and more space for your crew, so you can have a bigger crew. In Starfield there will be 3 ways to get like a better ship. The first and simplest one is just to buy a new one that is better. Then you can also upgrade your existing ship with kind of standardized upgrades. Or you can just figure it out on your own and take off all the different parts, insert a couple new ones and build a brand new ship. The ship customization is so advanced that the developers at Bethesda actually made a Optimus Prime ship. And if this is what the developers came up with, imagine what the crazy people of Reddit will do with it. Next they went into crew and companions. Companions all have different skills. They will just have the same skills that you can actually acquire, so some companions will be better in certain situations than others. And you can befriend many companions throughout your adventures, even a couple members of Constellation. And all these companions can be part of your crew. If you need more crew, you can always just hire them from spaceports, but you can also just make your crew out of your companions. The crew is used to keep your ship running, whatever that means, and it can also be used on the outpost. The outpost is another interesting feature where you can actually harvest resources from different plants and animals of the planet, then use it to put together an outpost and put resource extractors there to develop it further. With all these acquired resources, you can then run research projects that then will allow you to get better mods for your weapons, different cooking recipes or better camps. Going back to the companions, you can also form a deeper relationship with some, so we will have to see how deep these relationships get.
I don't know that I've ever really loved anyone except you.
Then we went into space, and they showed off some additional activities to do here and some more of the combat system. And the combat system is actually more complex than I thought. For your spaceship you have these different points that you can allocate between these 6 categories on the fly. So if you end up in combat you can put more into your weapons and your shield, but you might have to take away a couple of points from your engine, so you will go a little slower. Also, they showed off plenty of things you could do in space. You could visit these giant space stations, or trade and talk with other travelers, and even steal their ships if you want to. Then they took a break from the game and showed a couple of physical, real-life products they developed around Starfield. First is this watch, which is identical to the one Constellation gives you in the game and will be the main part of the collector's edition. More about the different editions for Starfield at the end of the video. Next we also had the headset and the controller that have been leaked multiple times now, but here was still visual reveal. After that they talked a little bit more about the exploration. We can see here that you can actually have a bounty. I already thought that, but now we can see it confirmed here. And they also talked about that surveying and discovering all the different resources and fauna and flora on the different planets and star systems is actually very helpful and will grant you some good rewards. And the last gameplay feature they showed off was the combat. They showed off many different weapons, big, small, bullets, explosives. We even saw a large amount of these mines, which were pretty cool because some of them actually froze the enemies and then you could go in for a final hit. Here they also introduced the third damage type. Apart from ballistic weapons and energy weapons, you also have electromagnetic weapons, which is just another damage type in Starfield and doesn't seem to be much different from the others, but I guess it's cool to have some variety. They also talked a little bit about the anti-gravity and how it would work. So ballistic weapons will actually push you back if you use them in zero gravity, but energy weapons don't, so that might be the preferred choice if you go into zero gravity combat. Or you can always use melee weapons, of course. And the last gameplay shown is this. Yeah, it seems like those artifacts might have given you some special powers after all. Then they end on the fact that Starfield is now available for pre-order and there are 3 different options you can buy. The first one is $70 and it's the normal pre-order. The only bonus you get is the Old Mars skin pack, which includes a helmet and a booster pack and also a laser cutter. Then we get to the premium edition, which is $100. This includes another skin pack, the Constellation skin pack, which will have a helmet, spacesuit, boost pack and Equinox laser rifle. It also includes a digital art book and the soundtrack. But the 2 big things are the Starfield Shattered Space first story expansion. So you actually get the first Starfield expansion and also 5 days early access. So for your $30 more, you get the first DLC and also 5 days early access, which does seem like a pretty good deal, because if you want to buy the first DLC separate, it's probably gonna cost you around $20. So with the added early access and some other little goodies, personally I am going for the premium edition. Then lastly there's also the Constellation edition, which is the collector's edition of Starfield. The official price isn't announced that I know of, but there were some leaks yesterday mentioning it would be $300. Which seems to be very plausible. For the Constellation editions, you get obviously all the benefits from the earlier editions, but you also get the aforementioned watch, which will be stored in a nice display case, together with a little Constellation patch, and also a credit stick with the game code on it. And a credit stick is kind of the equivalent of a coin purse in Skyrim, so it holds credits. So that was basically everything from the Starfield Direct. I personally think Bethesda did a really good job with it. It answered a lot of questions and showed a lot of cool new things. So please let me know in the comments what you thought of the Starfield Direct. If you're into Starfield content, please consider subscribing, cause I'm gonna dissect this whole showcase and gonna make numerous deep dives about it. With that, I wanna thank you for watching and hopefully I see you at the next video.